Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 12, Episode number 8. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Glad you guys are back with us for our regular edition of the show here on Wednesday, August 11th. Dave, Steelers' second preseason game is tomorrow. We have a lot to talk about today.
We certainly do. It feels like the way we've been doing, stringing these podcasts together. It seems like it's been forever since I've talked to you now. We didn't have one late last night. Apologies for that, but practice being shortened and all, there wasn't really much to talk about that we couldn't recap kind of real quick this morning.
Right, yeah, literally, basically all they did yesterday was 7 shots, and then Tomlin called the players in when there were some bad storms and rain coming through the area, so just really not worth dedicating, 5-10 minutes to a special edition of the podcast. So we'll kind of pick things up there with what happened yesterday, just in terms of an injury report standpoint, mostly because there isn't really hardly anything to cover from what actually happened during practice standpoint. But not practicing yesterday, at least it didn't appear like they were going to practice, were Antoine Brooks Jr. with that left knee leg, wide receiver James Washington with that right knee, same with Ray McLeod, he's got a left knee issue. No Kalen Ballage, no Tuitt, and Joe Haden got a rest day. Also, Benny Snell did not practice. It looks like it's an upper body injury. It's some sort of wrap around his midsection right below his chest, it felt like. So I'm not a doctor to try to comment on like oblique stuff or whatever it is, but it's upper body. I'll steal the hockey term here with Benny Snell.
Okay, and of those players that you named off, do you expect all of them to sit out against the Eagles now?
Probably, I'm trying to think if anyone could make it back in time. Probably be a veteran guy that could afford to miss that time. But Brooks has missed, 4 practices? Snell's missed more than that. Yeah, I'd be surprised. Maybe a guy like McLeod, but I'd be surprised if any of those guys played.
And James Washington, Mike Tomlin said it's going to be a couple of days on him, so probably going to be smart with him, you would think, and probably hold him out as well.
Right, and in terms of the little that happened at practice yesterday, at 7 shots, the defense wanted, I believe, 5-2. Haskins threw an interception. And Haskins has kind of cooled off a little bit since that hot start that we all, myself included, raved about. So it just hasn't been quite as strong. We were basically since the Cowboys game on, it hasn't been quite as good.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Yeah, you got some negative stuff about Dwayne Haskins in there. We're going the listeners are going to start falling off right now. No, and what is you're charting? Some of your stats, I guess. Your camp stats went up this morning here. Anything you want to kind of highlight about what you've observed? In the first, I guess, 10 practices now.
Sure. Yeah, just to put the numbers on Haskins to kind of illustrate, and again, these are just, numbers are just one piece of a very large puzzle. But yeah, Haskins' completion percentage over the last 4 practices fell to basically 54%, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. His yards per attempt was down to 5.2 because of that low completion percentage. You compare that to someone like Mason Rudolph, whose completion percentage was 68%, Ben 65%, Dobbs 77%. So Haskins had just below 54%. Pretty low by comparison. And then from other stats, Anthony Johnson is actually the leading receiver on this team in camp right now. But you can check out the whole stats post on Steelers Depot.
Anything that you've seen with the quarterback position thus far, both in camp and in the one preseason game, that would lead you to shake up the order in any way whatsoever?
No. Flat answer. Right now I still have Ben as the 1, of course. Rudolph as the 2, Haskins as the 3. Dobbs has played so well, though. I mean, it is probably his frustration of saying, I've done all that I can do. What more do I have to do to get an opportunity or make this team? But I still have things the way I had them before camp started. And
boy, Mike Tomlin sure was defending him a couple of days ago, for all these days run together now. So, saying you guys keep counting out Dobbs. You shouldn't do that. We'll see if that has any substance to it, something to circle back to maybe after the fact. We'll see. But a lot of things still can happen. You still have 3 preseasons they're gonna hopefully learn a little bit more about their quarterbacks on Thursday night against the Eagles. I guess that's a good time to kind of maybe start transitioning into things that Mike Tomlin had to say during his Tuesday noon 30 press conference there. And for starters, same quarterback rotation is going to be used Thursday night against the Eagles. So that means Mason Rudolph's going to start. Dwayne Haskins will follow him into the game. And then Joshua Dobbs stacked the chairs and mopped the floor, if you will. And Mike Tomlin says even though they have a plan kind of set right now, they will obviously be able to modify that on the fly. He pointed to the game against the Cowboys in which Mason Rudolph was originally scheduled to play 2 series, but the way the first series ended, they wanted to give him 1 more, so he got the extra series there. And I would suspect, if things go the way they probably want it to go, that Mason will play 2 series against the Eagles, and then they probably really would like to get Haskins into one of those 2-minute situations that they weren't able to do against the Cowboys. So, Haskins probably pick up or will pick up where Rudolph leaves off, and I would expect again for him to play probably well into the third quarter there.
Yeah, that's probably the way it's going to go, very similar to last time. Again, it is still partially dependent on game flow and game circumstance. So, yeah, Mike Tomlin is basically saying, will I defend Josh Dobbs? Yes. Will I give him more reps? No, I will not. I will not. He actually give him more opportunity, but it is, you have to learn so much about Haskins, and of course you have to give Rudolph time, and at some point you'll probably play Ben a little bit maybe in the next game. Certainly not in this one. That's already been confirmed by Tomlin, but yeah, Dobbs doing well in those limited opportunities.
Okay, as far as other people, Mike Tomlin wouldn't name names, but probably we shouldn't look for, I don't know, what do you think about some of these veterans, with the contusion to the birth certificates, like I like to say. For people that don't get that reference, it's an old Tomlin reference from years ago, and I think it might have been either Ben or Troy Polamalu, I think he was talking about, saying, letting him sit out of practice, and reason Tomlin gave was a contusion to the birth certificate. So that's just an old kind of throwback Tomlin-ism that, whenever you have an old player that gets a rest day, and I guess Joe Haden had a contusion to his birth certificate yesterday there. But who do you think of kind of the more veteran guys do you think we'll see that didn't play in the first game?
I don't think we'll see most of those guys because, even Tomlin referenced they're still kind of treating it like a first preseason game because it's the Eagles' first preseason game. I guess that's probably more from a preparation game plan standpoint, but I think the principle still holds in terms of who you play. I think maybe you see someone like a Trey Turner at right guard for those first 2 series that Rudolph gets to get him some work in since he's a new guy, and this line needs some work together. Although we'll see if Zach Banner plays, but I think maybe Banner will. So I think generally speaking, most of the veteran established guys, your Joe Haydens, your Cam Haywards, your Minka Fitzpatricks, et cetera, Juju, will probably still sit this game out.
All right. And what do you like about the chances maybe of a Melvin Ingram getting lathered up a little bit?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I was really excited for practice yesterday when I heard Tomlin talk about Ingram and they wanted to challenge him in the run game and praised Ingram for being a, quote, run game bully. So I was like, man, let's really focus in on number 8 today. And then the Reigns came and kind of squashed that idea. So he's 32. Would I play him in this game? I probably still wouldn't, but if they did, it wouldn't be a big surprise.
And Tomlin was asked specifically about Najee Harris and has no plans to back off on him. So I would probably expect, he played like 18 snaps, I think, against Dallas. So probably, I don't know, 2 to 3 series, you would think, depending on how they go. Another 5, 6, 7 touches for Najee in this one.
Probably. I hope less is more with Tomlin and Harris for at least this game. I understand getting out there in the first game, getting his feet wet and all that. But...
now you've become the cautious one.
Well, I wanted to give him 2 carries last game, or 2 plays even, just 1 carry and one pass play, and he got 8 carries. And played 18 snaps, like you said. So hopefully it's maybe 2 series and out, like maybe Mason Rudolph.
All right, and we expect Chukwuma Okorafor maybe at left tackle and to be determined at left guard, I guess, with the whole Kevin Dotson, Rashad Coward, thing going on there. And then, need to get that offensive. Boy, they really need to get that offensive line some work together, don't they?
They do. Yeah, that's why I would probably play someone like Trey Turner. You're right, Okorafor. I think will play. Banner, I believe Banner will play. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I think he's got enough work in team, and he's far enough along that he can play a little bit. So, yeah, hopefully this O-line gets some snaps.
And then we'll see if Mike Tomlin sticks to his word from earlier in the week during the interview with the NFL Network, saying that this is a big week for Devin Bush, going to see some of his first action. So I think that would be good to get him and Robert Spillane out there working together for a couple of series there. So I would expect to see that. I'm with you. A lot of those veterans there. As much as I'd like to see that number 8 running around out there on the defensive side of the ball, he's been this isn't his first rodeo, so I think I might think twice about that and give some of those younger guys a chance to make a mark.
Yeah, absolutely. So it should be Devin Bush and Robert Spillane at inside linebacker. At outside linebacker, it'll be either Cassius Marsh and Highsmith or Melvin Ingram and Highsmith. We'll see, though. Any of those veteran guys who do play will probably play just 5 to 10 snaps.
But we should see the Muth, right?
Yeah, Pat Freiermuth should make his NFL debut. The only drafted rookie who did not play in the Cowboys game. So, yeah, he should play, and I think he'll probably play quite a bit in this one.
All right. Shall we carry on with what else, what all Mike Tomlin was asked about to comment on yesterday?
Yeah, let's address maybe the elephant in the room with Kevin Dotson. What did he say about Dotson, Dave?
They keep trying to pepper him, trying to say, are you happy with his work that's been on the side? Mike Tomlin. I have eyes on the guys that are out there on the grass, basically. The guys that are participating are the guys that get my attention. He did, however, say that the guys that are in charge of, or have been in charge of putting, Dotson through the paces while he was sidelined there with an ankle injury, was that they happy with the reports that he's getting from them. So a lot has been made about kind of the the only way for people to really make an educated assessment of what Mike Tomlin said the other day about he hasn't earned the right to work with the ones is to actually just listen to the whole thing, because you write it up and you put it out on Twitter and everybody has their narratives going to run a certain way with it. I just took it as, hey, we have a second-year guy here that has been sidelined throughout camp here and working his way into the offensive line rotation here. And because I've got this other guy that's working hard in Rashad Coward, I'm going to reward the guy that's been out here on the grass, and I'm going to make the young guy try to show me a couple of days back, in practice that he's ready to be in that first line unit. And that's it in the story. I don't view it. Is Tomlin maybe frustrated about how long it took the ankle? Putting 2 to 2 together after Kevin Dotson spoke to the media on yesterday afternoon. Kevin kind of admitted, look, I didn't really want to kind of be out there unless I was 100, or near 100%, because he said specifically, if I go against a guy like Cam Hayward, I'm going to look bad, Right. So it might have been a combination of daily Mike Tomlin saying to the medical staff, are we going to get Kevin out here today? And them saying no, he's still a little tender or whatnot. And that turned into several days there. And Tomlin probably got a little aggravated, by not having, what he views as probably his starting left guard out on the practice field. And someone asked probably just the perfect question, and you get the response that he hasn't, what has he done to be out there kind of answer. And then people will run every different way with that. This is kind of a non-story that's become a story. So that's why we're talking about it. But I think the long game that you and I have continued to talk about here is it will be absolutely shocking if Kevin Dotson's not your starting left guard come week 1. End of story, I think.
Yeah, and Dotson had talked about that ankle injury a little bit with the media yesterday, saying that he had gotten a couple of platelet-rich plasma injections in that ankle and just kind of lingered a bit and just didn't get fully healthy until just the other day, I suppose. So Dr. Melanie Friedlander has a great post up on Steelers Depot that kind of really dives into what maybe the injury was and what the PRP shot does and kind of really lays out that situation extremely well, as always, in her article.
Absolutely. Very blessed to have her. It makes us sound a little bit smarter, at least it makes me sound a little bit smarter whenever you have that kind of information to kind of go off of and talk about on a podcast such as this.
So bottom line is Kevin Dotson is running, in the lineup, second team, albeit, but it's back in the lineup. And so, yeah, I'll be very interested to see, who will be first team and who will be second team. I suspect Dotson will be second team in this game, but we'll just have to wait and see.
I'll call a shot right here. I think you see, because of you saying they need, that you think there's a good possibility of maybe Trey Turner getting some snaps early in this game. I'm with you. I think Coward gets rewarded with the left guard start. And then however long, maybe a series or two that they get Trey Turner out there. When Turner comes out, Coward to right guard, Dotson to left guard, working maybe with Kendrick Green and Chikwama Okorafor, and we'll see about Zach Banner and maybe get a couple of series with those guys. That's what at least I have in my head right now.
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. If that happens, unfolds that way, I think that A, makes the most amount of sense, and B, would not surprise me in the least.
Okay, Mike Tomlin peppered again about the whole TJ Watt thing, and why? Why is this so hard for people to read in between the lines? What's going on here?
Yeah, to me at this point, there's really nothing left to say about the situation. We know what the reason is. We know it's the contract, and now we just kind of sit and wait and let them negotiate and see when this thing gets wrapped up.
Mike Tomlin saying it. I'm sure a lot of people will start charting or trying to start chart some instances of Do you remember how much Cameron Hayward was kind of limited last year? If that indeed was the time that Tomlin was referencing a year ago,
he was. Yeah,
was he limited sort of like this in practice?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, obviously, you can kind of watch some of the early practice stuff on Steelers on the Steelers YouTube channel, but not being at practice, I don't really have a good memory or chart of Hayward's participation last year.
But from your memory, did they kind of take it easy on him?
I don't even have a good memory or a good recall of that because we were just kind of we were at the mercy of the camera angle of the Steelers YouTube channel.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
There was no camp last year, so I couldn't give you a good answer on that.
Yeah, yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
I think he dressed some. I think I don't know. I think it sounded like, because Tomlin said he was less than 100%, but Watts at basically 0% of participation in terms of team. Right. So it doesn't seem like it's not the same situation exactly, at least.
Yeah, and also Cameron Hayward already experienced a pretty good payday once on top of it. Not, but look, I mean, this is cut and dry. It's a business decision here. And Mike Tomlin said, well, he was asked, is this a sort of thing that Watt came to you guys, or you guys went to Watt? And Tomlin said, we're not peeling back the curtain.
We know who came to it was Watt's team coming. Wasn't the Steelers? Hey, Watt, you want to not practice for a little bit? Is that cool? Yeah, not how that went.
I mean, look, the guy's earned the right to do this, in my opinion. He didn't hold out. He's there working with his teammates, and I think this is just flat out a business decision. If he had any other off, if he'd been not a model citizen, maybe you could kind of call it into question here. But I mean, this guy is 100%. Team Steelers, but this is a flat out, I can't risk getting myself hurt here with generational money on the line.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't begrudge him one bit. He's there. He still works an individual. He's working with teammates. He's I'm sure his presence, his leadership, the discussions he'll have with some young guys in that really young outside linebacker room with Highsmith and Jameer Jones and Roche, et cetera, is really valuable. So I don't begrudge that at all. Again, I just wonder, if this thing drags on for a couple more weeks, does he still hold that line of not practicing in team, and he probably will. I don't think he'll just start practicing in team before he gets a contract, but hopefully that little agreement is a sign that both sides are really going to be aggressive about getting a deal done sooner than later, and that a deal ultimately will happen. Because I don't think you make that agreement without the idea that, okay, there's a really strong chance we can come together and get this deal agreed upon sooner than later.
I have today and tomorrow circled on my calendar, Alex.
You think?
Yeah,
you think you get that
or maybe Friday. Maybe come by Saturday. I just getting that spidey sense here. That
okay.
And we'll obviously see. Look, they don't practice on Friday, right? After the game, so the next time back is Saturday. So it would be these next 3 days is the prime time to get that done. And look, I think this is you do this sort of stuff on a player by player basis, and you form your opinions off of it. Once again, if you're talking about a guy that not a team player, and I think it, and Mike Tomlin said, not all players are treated the same. I think Watts can be afforded the luxury of doing this.
Everyone treated fairly, not everyone treated equally.
There you go.
Is the Tomlin saying. Okay, so knowing that, in your opinion, there may be a chance this deal gets done by the time we talk next, let me make you call your shot here, Dave. What is the average yearly value number going to be? We know the range, but give me what you think the actual number is going to be.
I'll go ahead and say 30.
You're going to say?
Yeah, give me 30.
All right, so 30.0, right on the money, 30 million.
Yeah, I think I really like the chances of it being a $30 million new money average. I like the chances of it being a 5-year extension. Okay, so 5 times 30 would be 150. Add in the 10.069 number that he of old money that he's due, because that doesn't go away. I think you're looking at a 5-year extension with the whole kit and caboodle totaling out at 160.069. Is that specific enough for you, sir?
I would say so.
Could it come in a little bit low? It's going to be greater than 28 million. I think greater than 28 million, anywhere between 28 to 30 million. But high side 30 million. Grand total if it is a 5-year extension and not a 4. I mean, it would make sense to get the player. If you're going to throw out that kind of money at that market value, it makes sense to try to lock him up that extra year too, right? So you can play around with any restructure, so you have that extra year to with zero proration in it to as a back end. That would be my view on it.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. I think it will come in at or above 30, right around in that range. I think that's where the number is going to come in at.
Now let me qualify that again. Okay. Once again, based on kind of going back to my interview with Joe Corey. This has been my thought as well too, and it's all based on this. I am also assuming the Steelers don't break service here with the guaranteed money. Okay, if they do, that sort of changes the parameters, and you can get away with a little bit less, say a 28.5, new money average there. But, the players got to get something out of you not giving any more guarantees than essentially the first year, the signing bonus there. Now, will there be injury guarantees and basically quasi, virtual guarantees because you sign them to such a deal like this? Absolutely. But I until the Steelers break service on this, I have no reason to think that they won't stick with their traditional ways of doing contracts here. So that's what my whole assumption has been for how long now, talking about anywhere between 28 to 30 million. But as Joe Corey, says, it would probably be right at about 28, 29 million if the Steelers did more with the fully guaranteed money. But being as they likely won't, that's where the 30 million new money comes in at here.
Right. Plus, it looks good for the agent to say first player defensive player, $30 million.
Sure,
that's a good resume right there. I'm gonna ask you a question, and then I want to have a comment here. I'll ask the question first because I don't know if you know the answer to it immediately. What is the highest paid contract in Steelers history for a non-quarterback? What's next up for Antonio Brown deal or a Cam Hayward deal in terms of average yearly value? Just wondering what that number is compared to what Watt is likely to get. And then I just have to laugh, and I don't mean to rag on the guy too much, but remember like a week ago when John Clayton said that TJ Watt would get like 23 to 24 million? I mean, I don't even know where you come up with that from. Like, have you not paid attention to this market at all?
You know what he's probably doing is just looking at the regular linebacker franchise tag number. Because
I don't think he's even doing that. I think he's just making up a number.
And look, I mean, grew up, last 15 years, John Clayton was like the man, right? But
sure.
But man, I think he's kind of lost touch with a lot of this, especially on the contract side here. Let's see, highest paid. New money average, might it be Cam at this point?
What was Cam's number?
Let me pull that up real quick.
I mean, obviously, no one's close to what Watt's going to get, even if it is 28 or 29 million. But I'm just curious where the
it might be AB because Cameron Hayward's new money average is 16.4 right now, and that would have been obviously based off of his last deal.
So wasn't
AB like 18 or 19 new money average, wasn't it, with AB?
You're going to remember better than I could here. Let's see what his second contract was. 4-year extension, $68 million. That's what Wikipedia here is telling me quickly. So $17 million per year.
I forget what the new money average was. I want to say it was right around 18 or 19 million at the time.
So Watt's going to just blow the doors off of that.
Yeah, he should. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick
back
here.
In 2017, Brown got that last mega contract, I believe, from Pittsburgh. So just in the span of 4 years, you've seen that number jump from 17 to 19 to probably close to 30 million, if not 30 million.
Yeah, I'm not finding it. I'll find it here during this podcast here and searching. But I seem to want to say it was like 18 or 19 million. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I just want to see what the history is, like the top 5 biggest contracts in terms of average yearly value given to non-quarterbacks, and Watt, of course, will be number 1. I'm just curious to see what 2 and 3 and 4 look like, just for the stats of the weird, my nerdiness perspective, just to see how that looks.
When did Antonio get that? Was it around February 2017? Was that it?
It was. Yep, that was his last big contract from the Steelers.
Let's see. Didn't 19? Why didn't I put the new money average in here? I'm gonna have to research it, Alex.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe tweet that out or something. I'd just be curious to know what the lay of the land is. Obviously, Watt, mega contract, he'll become the highest defensive player in football. There's zero doubt in my mind about that. It's just a matter of, do you get to that big 3-0 number? And I think we both think he will.
Yes.
All right, Dave. Anything else from Tomlin that you want to talk about from his presser yesterday? You talked up your boy, Carlos Davis.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to take a victory lap on that one. Thank you for that. Look, we had talked about recapping that after looking at the offensive line, defensive line there, that we thought both units as a whole, top to bottom, played well. I thought Carlos Davis represented himself well overall in that game, and he got an attaboy from really the whole, because he was asked about the whole defensive front really, and he said he was pleased with the play of that unit against the Cowboys there, which I think he should be. A lot of those guys represented himself well. He did, however, speaking of which, Dick LeBeau dropped a however, the other day during his interview with Lance Meadows on there. If you don't, once again, Sirius XM NFL Radio, where Sirius is not a sponsor, obviously, of the show here, but you are missing the boat if you don't have a subscription to that, just for the NFL channel alone. Obviously, they have Howard Stern and everything else in there, but boy, it makes it easy to go back and listen to some of these interviews. And Lance Meadows had a great interview, 22 minutes, was it, with Dick LeBeau, and I was able to forward it on to Alex here. In fact, I think it's up. I think if you go to Lance Meadows' Twitter page, I think he now has a link to SoundCloud with that interview for free now. So if you get a chance, you're looking for something to listen to this weekend, go listen to him, to his long interview with Dick LeBeau, obviously talking about the enshrinement here. Get me on track here, please, Alex. Where was I?
Carlos Davis.
Okay.
And the defensive line.
Thank you. Carlos Davis there. Now, Tomlin he mentioned the Donovan Steiner interception in which Carlos Davis ran that upfront game on there. And hey, I'm getting old, Alex, but I still got that memory, man, where instant recall in games. And I thought to myself, Carlos Davis was not in the game on that interception. And I was right. I went back and checked the tape there, and Carlos Davis was not even in the game on the Donovan Steiner interception. The play that Tomlin is meant to remember is the later second quarter completion that Justin Lane ripped out for the fumble. That's the one that I think he's referencing to, where Carlos Davis runs the game to the outside, but then ducks back inside and gets the hit on the quarterback as he's throwing the football there. So
was there pressure on the Steiner pick? Was that Jameer Jones that got in there on the interception? Do you remember that play?
44.
Okay, that's Jameer Jones.
Okay, off the right side, and there was good. In fact, Loudermilk, I think, was in on that one. Good push on the left defensive tackle, if memory serves me, on that one. And
but Jones had the pressure on that play.
Yeah, Jones had the primary pressure, I think, on that play, coming off the right edge on that one. I think at that point, I think Roche was over at left outside linebacker, I think, at that point. I think it was Marsh.
No.
Marsh.
Yeah, because Roche played right outside linebacker.
Okay. All right.
But, yeah, Davis, besides that, Davis did play well. He had multiple pressures in that game. He looked explosive. He was, winning the point of attack, defeating blocks in the pass game. He had a good performance.
Another attaboy from Mike Tomlin on Trey Turner and how he's doing a good job being the veteran leader. And look, I mean, you lost a lot of veteran leadership along that offensive line, right? And I mean, your most who's your most senior guy right now? Banner?
Yeah, in terms of years in the league, or it starts, or what? Because it's all kind of jumbled together.
I mean, outside of Trey Turner, I mean, it's probably right. Zach Banner. But he obviously hasn't started that many games there. So it's good to hear that you got a guy like Trey Turner taking the time and spending the time, especially with one Kendrick Green, who's going to be playing alongside with there. And, those are just the kind of off the cuff kind of things that you just like to hear, and you probably expect. And Mike Tomlin said he did expect as much from Trey Turner when it comes to that category. Tomlin was asked specifically about if we should read anything into Kendrick Green still basically or is running with the ones and probably going to start against the Eagles. He said no, but I'm going to put on my cards. I'm going to push the pot to the middle of the table now, Alex.
All in.
And I've been pretty much this way from the day he was drafted. I think the call here is Kendrick Green is your week one center.
Yeah, I should I call that? I can't raise that. It's a string bet. I don't know how this.
I mean, yeah. There's nothing really to raise it by, I guess. But
I agree. Let me just take out the analogy.
You call, all right.
I call. Yeah, I think Kendrick Green's
going
to be a starter.
But all right.
Anyway, I think Trey Turner, the communication aspect is certainly important with this brand new offensive line, a new scheme. I'm hoping Tomlin says some things about his actual play. That's going to be pretty important. And I am worried about Turner and pass pro, just losing the edge. I've seen him lose the edge a bit in some of these one-on-one opportunities. O-line, D-line work. So as a run blocker, I think he can be sufficient. I just worry about him, can he be able to seal the edge and win against some of these athletic three techs in the pass game?
Based on your reporting these last few days, I'm nervous about it all.
Yeah.
And have been for a while here. Where starting from day one of where our concerns and our question marks were when it comes to this offensive line, where are you?
Yeah, it's still pretty high. I don't know how much it's really changed from pre-camp as this group is just kind of finally.
If anything, it's gone together. More in a negative way, maybe.
Yeah,
is that possible?
Just because we have, we thought by now we would see these guys more in action, and obviously there's still decent ways to go and a couple preseason games to play, starting with Thursday. So we'll see from there. But yeah, it's still a group that to me is the biggest X factor, the biggest question mark of not only this offense but the entire team.
All right, so hopefully we'll get to see maybe even 4 of the 5 out there against the Eagles, and then scour that tape pretty good. And it doesn't sound like that. Just really any of the offensive line had a good week, period, in practice.
Yeah, I mean, 4 of the 5 sounds good if you're a dentist getting toothpaste, but it isn't as good for an offensive line that needs to really work together. But yeah, they are trending in the right direction. So that's the positive takeaway there.
With health.
Yeah, with health. Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of actual play, maybe a little less so.
All right, Melvin Ingram getting some, and you mentioned that a little while ago why you were so geeked up to watch the what day is it, Alex? Tuesday session.
Yeah, don't ask me what day it is.
I know it's just guy. Man, they run together here big time. But I had a practice. Mike Tomlin talked about Melvin Ingram and how this guy has been a bully in the running game. Ooh, I like to hear that. The offensive linemen probably don't, and neither do the tight ends. But the plan was, and before the rains came, to get wherever Melvin Ingram lined up in practice, he was going to probably see a tight end or somebody over him, right? But unfortunately we didn't see that, or you didn't see that.
Yeah, no one saw that. It did not happen. Yeah, he's been a bully in the run game and in the pass game. I mean, he had Banner spinned around on 1 rep on Monday, and so he's been really coming on strong the last couple of days of practice. Now, Tomlin made a reference to tackle over, right? And so that was referencing an unbalanced look.
I thought so.
Yeah, and so we saw that. I saw that on at least one play when Chuk shifted from left tackle to right tackle on Sunday or Monday, one of those days. So that's an interesting thing. That's not brand new. I mean, they did some of that with Villanueva last year. They kind of did some of that shifting. Usually they would have Villanueva at like the right side and then shift him back to his left tackle spot just as a kind of mix up, see how the defense responds. But I think maybe we'll see some unbalanced looks for this team this season to some small degree.
One of the things Tomlin talked about yesterday about wanting to see, wanting to work on is motion and pre-snap shifting, fluidity, timing stuff, that kind of stuff, and also pre-snap penalties, trying to stay clean in that area there as well too. So still a little clunkiness that time. I still wonder kind of what happened with that fumble from Rudolph to Claypool. Have you looked at that a few more times? Is that just him coming out a little bit slower? Was just the timing of Claypool off? All of the above?
It was late. Now, was it because the snap wasn't done on time? Was Claypool moving too fast? Did he move too early? I really couldn't tell you that, but it was just late in terms of getting to Claypool at the mesh point.
Okay.
And if you're wondering what unbalanced and tackle over means, that means if you're shifting, let's say, the left tackle to the right side or vice versa. So where you only have one offensive lineman to the left or right of center. That's an unbalanced look, if you're wondering.
And we're still expecting a lot of vanilla stuff on offense against the Eagles, right? Just your standard split zone flow and inside zone and maybe a little bit of duo. And you think we'll see any RPOs or anything?
Yeah, maybe a couple. Some veteran quarterbacks in there that can read that kind of stuff. Yeah, I had the article yesterday on Canada's offense, just some of the core concepts where they ran that jet action with the inside zone, paired with the split zone action. And so you can give it to the jet guy, you can hand the ball off, and you can boot it and hit the off ball tight end coming across the formation. And they did that for 3 completions for healthy gains against the Cowboys. So it is just that core concept with a lot of different variations that all look the same to the defense until someone has the football, and it really gets the defense late and slow with their eyes and generally out leveraged and out of position.
All right. Anything else that you remember from Tomlin?
I was living through your tweets. Sorry, okay. I was eating fries.
How's that going for you?
I know. You tell me. How was my conversation about Tomlin's?
No, you say you living through my tweets.
Yes. I think it's going okay.
All right. Dave, I think we've hit on most of that there.
Let's talk about Joe Haden, because he had an interview with The Athletic the other day talking about how he would like to have a contract extension after TJ Watt's deal gets done. I think you have an article coming later today on Steelers Depot to kind of outline the possibility of that, what that could look like. I think we did touch on this during one of our training camp shows or a podcast or something. I'm not in favor of it, and I think Joe Haden's been a really good player and a really good guy and great teammate and super valuable leader, but this is a 32-year-old corner who is not going to play forever. And I just really could not justify giving him any sort of, guaranteed money and long-term deal or even a 2-year extension with Joe Haden.
Well, for the people that stuck around after you dissed Haskins, now you dissing Hayden.
You think there's a lot of people that are like fans that are like, yeah, give Hayden an extension?
I think there is. Just not that Twitter's a full measurement of anything, but a lot of what I've seen on social media is, boy, we sure want Joe Haden to finish his career, and the Steelers have got to find a way to get this done. Now, that's not a scientific poll, okay? I have seen a lot of that. What I'm about to say is no, and you agree. Look, we both love Joe Haden. He's quintessential Steeler. If there's anybody that you would trust to get him, to stay clean off the field and do what he's supposed to do during the offseason, get his body healthy, and if there's anyone over 30 years of age that you would you probably might kind of put a little bit of a bet on playing on into past 32, it would be him. But with that said, man, you already beat the odds. I view them as beating the odds already once with him for starters, because he is now, the last deal he signed was, let's see, this is 21. It would have been 2019, I believe, there. And so you've already got him over the 30 threshold. You did a good job. It was a good deal for both sides there. Do you want to kind of risk battling father time again? And especially here's where the big problem is here. Sure, Joe Haden's only scheduled to earn a base salary of $7 million this year. All right, that's a hell of a damn bargain for Joe Haden right now.
It is.
When you look at it that way. Now, the proration and all that he has already in 2021. Let me pull up my sheets here while I'm talking here. He already has a proration amount in 2021 of $8.575 million. That does not go away regardless of whatever does or does not happen here. So you look at it, what his minimum base salary would be if you were to do something here, it'd be $1.075 million. So you're already at about almost $10 million in just a base core cap charge before you even do anything here, assuming that you lowered his, as part of any type of extension, you'd lowered his base from $7 million down to the minimum there. Now, go back to what happened the last time that you signed Joe Haden to an extension. And by the way, I think Joe Haden's new money average right now is $11 million. That's a bargain right now. Mm-hmm. What do you think Joe Haden, at a minimum, remember his agent's Drew Rosenhaus too. What do you imagine Joe Haden's request of a new money average is at this point going into negotiations?
You're going to have a much better feel for this than I do. I would say $9 million. I'm not even sure what the number would be.
So you would think he'd be willing to go backwards from $11 million?
Yeah. See, I'm not even paying attention to the numbers too well. It's tough because
I'm not trying to set you up. It's just an honest. It's just an honest answer.
It's just tough question. Because obviously players want to get paid more than they got paid in the past, but he's also getting older, so you have those things going in different directions. So that $10 million, would it be right around where he's at now, $11 million? I guess in that range is where I would peg it, but you're going to know this stuff better than I have, than I do.
When do you ever see guys saying, make me go down lower on the new money average chart?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure not very often.
All right. Right now his new money average is $11 million at a minimum. And absolutely minimum, and this would be me viewing Joe Haden saying, I'm going to give you guys a discount here. He would be looking for the same $11 million new money average. However, I view it, and I've reached out to Joel Corey last couple of days as well too. If you look at the cornerback, hierarchy and new money averages, I would think Joe's wanting to get up there in that $14 million new money average range.
Now, where would that put him in terms of top corners in football? Is that top 10?
Let's see here. It'd be pretty dang close if it's not right in there. Yeah. Let me read them off here. Jalen Ramsey, $20 million. Marlon Humphrey, $19.5. Tre'Davious White, $17.25. Go on down here. Even Trey Waynes is getting $14 million new money average right now, Alex.
Wow.
William Jackson III, 13.5 new money average. You think when Joe Haden looks at that list, Shaquille Griffin 13.333, even Adoree Jackson, that deal that he just signed this offseason, $13 million new money average. Stephon Gilmore 13, and Stephon Gilmore is looking for more money as well too. When Joe Haden, nobody's going to convince me unless something happens that Joe Haden's willing to say, you know what? Give me the same deal you gave me last time with an $11 million new money average.
Right, and as I kind of outlined earlier, I'm just not comfortable throwing that money at a corner who's going to be 33 years old next season once that hypothetical extension would kick in. I think he's still playing at a good level, but I know that's not going to last forever, and there's only so much longer that veteran savviness is going to be able to outweigh and outwin the lack of physical traits. And I have seen a loss of speed in this game. He got really burned bad by Cortland Sutton last year against Denver, and so those physical tools are going to continue to erode naturally, and the veteran above the neck stuff is only going to be able to allow you to hang on for so long.
Now, a lot of people like to make themselves look smarter than what they are, so they'll tweet out, well, just backload, or they'll write in an article, just backload the contract. Okay,
it's that easy.
They don't even know what that means, but it looks good, right? Mm-hmm. Just backload it. Okay, let me tell you here that it's like that old was it a Geico commercial, whatever it says. That's we're friending on Facebook. That's not how any of this works. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you go back to that deal that Joe Haden signed in 2019, that was a 2-year extension that got him to the new money average of $11 million. It took giving him $18 million in 2019 to get that deal done. 16.8, if memory serves me, 16.8 million of that was a signing bonus. I believe he had a $1.2 million new base salary as part of that. So they paid him $18 million, basically cash, guaranteed money, which really only 16.8 of that was fully guaranteed, but they, the other 1.2 was virtually guaranteed anyway. But they paid him $18 million in 2019 to get him on the contract that he is now. All right. Now the total value of that deal was like, what was it? 34, 32, somewhere around in there was the total value of the 3 years of that. He made almost half of that the moment he signed his extension. even if you were to re-sign him, if he gave you the discount, he said, okay, I want a new money average of $11 million, all right, it's probably going to take another $18 million because he's due $7 million in cash this year already. So it would probably take rolling that and the remainder of around $18 million into, a good chunk of it, another, let's say $16.8 million into a signing bonus. In other words, it would take paying him another $18 million right now to get him signed to another, let's say, 2-year extension, and then for a new money average to have a new money average of $11 million. So is he worth, and then you run the risk of Father Time catching up with him. And then you have, let's, if he gave him a $8 million signing bonus, you prorate that over to 3 years, and you look at 2022, 2023 specifically, you're going to have a total of over $10 million out there in prorated money that you risk being dead. Okay, that's where the problem. Now, theoretically, you could give him that same deal that you gave him last time around and actually probably have his cap number this year drop just a tiny bit. All right, but that's not where the issue is here. The issue is, do you want to pay him $18 million basically cash or more in 2021, and do you want to run the risk that you have probably around $12 million out there risking to be dead, and then what's his cap hit going to look like in 2022? Probably at a minimum $15 million, probably a little bit higher than that. It's just, and once again, it's no knock on him. He's 32, man, and not one of the top corners, probably not one of the top 10 corners in the league right now, yet you're probably angling to get that kind of top 10 money. Man, if he's really wanting, Drew Rosenhaus probably banging his table saying, we want a $14 million new money average. And if that's the case, I just cannot see it being done unless the guarantees were stretched. The Steelers would have to break form in negotiations in this, and on top of it, Joe Haden would have to help him out, saying, oh, don't worry about guaranteeing that money. Right. I know you'll pay me my final 2 years, which there's no guarantee in that. So just from a sheer economics aspect of this, combined with his age and all like that, I think it's bad business on the Steelers' part to do this, if they do it.
I'm with you. The only way I would consider it if the guarantees were really light, kind of the way that you just mentioned, there's just too much risk there. And to think that 33, 34 years old, that he's going to be playing at a high enough level to justify that contract. I think he's had a great career. I was wrong about him initially. I thought when they first signed him that it might not work, and it worked. And so I fully admit that. But I could not justify it.
Yeah, people got to make sure they look at, and I know a lot of people don't, but you got to look at cash flow in deals. How the cash flow strings along, what the guarantees are, and what's in it for the player to sign such an extension. With Joe Haden scheduled to make $7 million, he knows he's going to get that unless he's cut right now, he knows he's going to get that $7 million this year. So you got to go above and beyond that just to get him to sign the deal, because part of that is making sure he gets more money right up front on this contract. And there's no reason for him to sign just to get an extra maybe $3 or $4 million out of this in 2021. You get what I'm saying here? Mm-hmm. So unless he's really wanting to come down and say, I'll take my chances on my 2022 and 2023 money, but in lieu of that, instead of giving me $7 million this year, you're going to give me between signing bonus and base salary, let's say $14 million. There's really nothing, there's no reason for him to kind of do the deal then, right? And then on the flip side, even getting Joe Haden $14 million in his, you're going to have to do that in a signing bonus, and you risk more dead money and all that kind of stuff. So it would really have to take Joe Haden making a lot of concessions on his end, especially up front with what he would get paid with base salary and signing bonus now to make something happen. Is it impossible? No, not, no, but it's not the way this works, especially when you have an agent like Drew Rosenhaus. I would hate to see Joe Haden play 2 more years or 1 more year and not be in a Steelers uniform. But I think what you do is you let him ride out his deal the way it is now, look at things after the season's over, and then see if maybe you can work something out that way.
Right. Yeah, there's no rush to get a deal done now. I'm sure Hayden would like that to happen, but it's not like Hayden is itching to go somewhere else. In fact, he's openly said he wants to retire as a Steeler. So you can wait till after the offseason, and if he threatens to go somewhere else, he doesn't really want to do that, pack up and move and take his family and all that kind of stuff, or live at a hotel or whatever the scenario might be for another year or two in the NFL. So at the least, you table this conversation until after this season, and you see where his play is at and where the rest of the financial situation is at, exactly where the cap's going to be at, etc., and go from there. But there is no reason for a deal to happen right now.
Right. Now, once again, you could get a deal done and have his cap number this year not even move.
Yeah, but that's not the issue.
That's not the issue. It's about what you're paying for and what you might have to pay for down the line as far as the dead money goes there.
Yeah. So again, big fan of Joe Haden. Just would not do it. Not right now, at least.
All right. And specifically, I'll read off my conversation here with Joe Corey here. I asked Joe Corey, basically, I said, you think Joe Haden's probably looking for a new money average of at least $14 million now? He says, it wouldn't surprise me, but age isn't a friend of Joe Haden. He's 32. That's old for a cornerback. I would be reluctant to make a major financial commitment to Stephon Gilmore on a go-forward basis. Gilmore a year younger and much better.
Ooh. Wow. Gilmore's 31. Did not realize that. Stephon Gilmore is 31 years old, but yeah, not a lot of 33-year-old corners in the NFL, which Hayden will be next year. Granted, not a lot of 32-year-old corners, but I'm with Joel. Could not justify it. Too much risk there for the Steelers.
Right. All right. Where to now?
Coming off of the Cowboys game, I did my updated Steelers roster predictions and definitely some changes from my pre-training camp prediction. I know, Dave, I think you're going to have your roster prediction either today or tomorrow. We can kind of go through things together, and you tell me where you agree and disagree. We'll start with quarterbacks and same 3 as before: Ben, Rudolph, and Haskins. Is that where you're at, Dave?
That would be correct, sir. I'm not sure I'd still bet the house on Haskins yet. I'm close.
That's fair.
But let's see him play a little bit more.
Sure. Running back, I did make a change there. I kind of called my shot with Jalen Samuels, and that shot did not work. I have now Najee Harris, Anthony McFarland, Benny Snell, and Kalen Ballage. Snell's spot feels a little less secure than it did. Ballage more secure. Hopefully those guys can get back in action and get back healthy. I don't think either of their injuries are that serious right now.
I would everything you just said right there. And in fact, I think that was my 4. I think I'm chalk with my last prediction right now.
Yep. And I assume you're chalk with fullback Derek Watt as well. Derek Watt still.
Who? No. Who's on? What's on first?
What's on? Oh God! All right. I'm leaving now. We've lost everyone. I've chased everyone away.
I broke out the Abbott and Costello. Do you even know who Abbott and Costello are?
Yeah, the comedy group from like 1910.
Yeah,
right?
Okay. All right.
Something like that.
Yeah, Derek Watt, fullback. Yes.
When the earth was cooling. Wide receivers, I think we're chalk here as well. At least I am. Juju, James Washington, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and Ray McLeod as your 5. Some interesting guys behind them, but no one, I think, making a serious push for the 53.
Yeah, I think where the question comes into is, boy, you got Cody. We expect to see some Cody White, I think, against the Eagles. Anthony Johnson sure seems to be that next guy kind of up. Not that I think those guys are 53-man roster, but I think when it comes to practice squad, that's where the dart throwing is still kind of questionable at that point. But I would agree with you where we sit right now. Those same 5 are the chalk.
So far, for me, pretty chalk besides the switch at running back. Same with tight end. Keeping 3, Eric Ebron, Pat Freiermuth, and Kevin Rader. I've seen improvement in Zach Gentry, but Rader's still the better run blocker. By far, that's not going to change. I think the better special team player and just the more valuable guy as that number 3 tight end.
Boy, people are just going to think you pay me to agree with you here. But, I mean, that's
what we do, right?
It's exactly what we do. A 5 what? Right, you go back and watch that tape against the Cowboys, man. About 3 plays in there. That's all you need to see from Kevin Radar there. So, yes, those are my 3 still.
Keeping 9 offensive linemen on my latest prediction. One change, though, a tackle, no changes here with a core 4 Banner Haig and Dan Moore Jr. In terms of interior offensive linemen, Trey Turner, Kevin Dotson, Kendrick Green, Rashad Coward, and J.C. Hassenauer. I'll flip there. I had B.J. Finney on my last prediction. I'm going Hassenauer now over Finney.
Oh, boy, very interesting there. And I certainly do want – now, it's the same amount of offensive linemen you're keeping. You're just the only switch there is Hassenauer and Finney, right?
Yeah, and obviously you could argue Finney, and that would be fine. You could maybe even argue that both those guys make it. But Hassenauer, I think he's been a little more physical. He's a little bit younger, I think. And Finney just kind of felt like a signing that they just kind of needed to make before the draft because they weren't sure if they were going to get a center that they liked, and kind of felt like that insurance policy. So I don't think Hassenauer nor Finney have been particularly great in camp. They've been okay, I suppose, but I think Hassenauer's a little more aggressive and physical and as a finisher, and that might endear himself well to someone like Adrian Clem.
Is there a possibility we see a Cody Wallace situation here in a couple more weeks?
Refresh my memory on Dr.
Remember
Wallace.
Cody Wallace, Dr. Wallace, yeah. One of my all-time favorite GIFs. He was a very late in off-season ad, wasn't he? Wasn't he right before the start of the season kind of ad? Or did they trade? Okay. Anyway, very, very late into the process, if memory serves me. Could there be a situation where a veteran center / guard around the league maybe gets cut and that ends up becoming the guy?
Yeah, I mentioned that the other day that maybe you would look for another guard as a backup option. I don't think that's impossible, but as of right now, just working off the guys who are on the roster, I'm going Hassenauer over B.J. Finney.
I'm trying to refresh my memory on
Wallace was a late ad from the 49ers. Yeah, I forget the exact circumstances, but he was like a post cut down ad, I believe.
Let's see how good my memory here is. Pittsburgh signed Wallace in September 2013 after he was a final cut from Tampa Bay. Okay. And yeah, so I was right. Yeah, he was a late ad and played both center and guard. You certainly would like a little bit more pedigree in there, right? And there might be 2 or 3 veteran kind of minimum salary guys that come free here. I just want to throw that out as a possibility because I don't think either one of us are very high on Finney or Hassenauer.
Yeah, I mean, this would be just to really be the backup center because I think Coward's going to be your backup guard at either spot at this point.
Okay. But we both – I mean, I'm with you where you're at right now. In fact, I mean – I think Finney was my last one as well, too. So I think I'm following you step for step here.
So you would make the switch. You would put Hassenauer over Finney.
Yeah, I would as well, too. And then that would leave me the same 9. So we're pretty damn boring right now other than maybe setting up the situation where somebody not currently on the roster right now comes in and is at backup center.
D-line is interesting. I think we might be the same here. To me, it's going to be the hardest decisions for me and, more importantly, the team to make because you could really make an argument for 7, 8 guys here and you can only keep 6. But the 6 D-linemen I'm keeping, Hayward, Tuitt, Wormley, Alu, and then the backups being Carlos Davis and Isaiah Loudermilk getting those final 2 spots. And I really wrestled with this decision, Dave.
Wasn't that my last 5? I think it was, wasn't it? I think so. My last 6.
Yeah, so you're...
I think the only change I have right now based on my last 53-man roster prediction is the switch of Hassenauer and Finney with you. I think everything else I'm running same for same with my last one pre-started training camp there.
Let's see if outside linebackers are the same for you. There's a change for me. I'm keeping Watt, Highsmith, Ingram, and Cassius Marsh, now the number 4 over Quincy Roche, who I have on the practice squad.
I don't remember what my 4 were, but these will probably be my 4 now, yes.
Let's see who you had as your 4. Before this was on July 21st, your roster prediction, you had 5. You had Marsh and Roche making it.
Okay. I will send Roche to the practice squad.
Okay. Inside linebacker, I have them keeping the same 5 I had before with Bush, Spillane, Johnson, Marcus Allen, and UG3. UG3 still fighting for that spot. I think it's that 9th linebacker spot's going to come down to the likes of Jameer Jones, Quincy Roche, and UG3. So I think they're all kind of fighting, even though it's outside versus inside, for that last linebacker spot.
Boring. That's what I'm looking at on mine as well too. I think a guy like Bundage though needs a lot of look in these last few games. A guy kind of come out of a guy that was actually cut not too long ago, and then brought back, and just for sheer special teams ability alone might get that guy on the practice squad. I think.
Yeah, I put him on my practice squad.
I'm not considering him 53. As long as Marcus Allen and UG3 stay healthy, I'm once again boring. Those will be my 5. So I think I don't think we have any changes as far as what my new 53 would look like based on what your 53 is today.
Mm-hmm. And I went back and rewatching that Cowboys game. Bundage had 2 tackles on kick coverage. One of them I thought that Brown had. He kind of chipped in late, but Bundage, I think, had the primary tackle. And then Bundage had another one, I think, in the 4th quarter of that game. So, and got the mention from Tomlin post-game as well about the special teams play.
All right, corner.
At cornerback, keeping 6. I'm switching Antoine Brooks Jr. to corner because that's all he's played in camp is slot corner. So the 6 I'm keeping are Joe Haden, Cam Sutton, James Pierre, Arthur Millett, Antoine Brooks Jr., and Shakur Brown. That's cutting Justin Lane. I was going to have Brown off my roster until the Cowboys game when he had a strong special teams performance. And so for that purpose alone, it's still a very fluid situation, but I'm keeping Brown as that 6th cornerback.
Yeah, it's interesting now when you reshuffle this and you officially put Brooks in as a corner, which is the right move, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that means he's been a slot corner this whole time. So I'm calling him a corner instead of calling him a safety.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the right move. Obviously, putting Antoine Brooks Jr. in there with the corners now. Man, this is where I'm gonna probably wrestle here. Was what was Brown doing on? I mean, he did have a good game on special teams. Mm-hmm. Was he gunning or what?
No, he wasn't a gunner. I mean, his tackles came on kick coverage, and he was running, I don't know, R3. I don't know exactly where he lined up. It's hard to tell on TV tape. And so as a corner, I think it's been relatively quiet for him. But just in terms of that potential special teams role and value, being a physical guy that can tackle in space, that's why I gave him the nod. But again, it's still a very fluid, ongoing situation.
I think my gut right now still says not to throw Justin Lane out with the bathwater just yet. In another couple weeks, maybe here. Is there any chance that Arthur Millett ends up being an odd man out at all?
I think there is a chance of that. His play this camp has been pretty nondescript, and in coverage he's average at best. So I get that, but I think you want to have a versatile guy because he has played safety, he has played corner, and someone with some experience in such a otherwise youthful secondary.
I tell you what, for now, in the sake of being a little bit different here, I will put Shakur Brown on the practice squad, and I'll keep Justin Lane.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I think that's a fair point right now.
I'm not married to that, and I've kind of been getting the feeling that maybe because Justin Lane's a good gunner, though, right? You know.
I mean, he flashed his rookie year. I think it's been kind of quiet since.
Okay.
He's done all right.
I'm not married to that, but I'm starting to get the feeling that maybe Arthur Millett might not be so secure.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm not married to this group either, just for clarification. And finally, at safety, in terms of the defense, keeping just 4, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Terrell Edmunds, Miles Killebrew, and I'm keeping Trey Norwood. I'm making him a game day inactive because I worry about some of that tackling, but I think the instincts, the ball skills, the free safety type ability, I want to hold on to that because I think it is hard to kind of find a guy with that skill set.
I would agree with the way the roster is right now, but how do you make Trey Norwood? What happens in a game if Minkah goes down? Does Terrell Edmunds move back and Killebrew comes in and plays strong?
Well, I mean, there are no good options here, whether or not you keep Trey Norwood. You could, of course, still look from the outside and add somebody, but at that point, Millett's played free safety. Cam Sutton could get shifted. I mean, you could put him there, you can put him anywhere, and Cam Sutton's going to be fine. So, yeah, I mean, there are no good solutions here when you lose your all-pro, Minkah Fitzpatrick type player, but yeah, I mean, would you want to play Trey Norwood in that situation anyway, even if he was up as a rookie?
Right.
Maybe not. So I would probably put either Cam Sutton or Millett at free safety. Or you could have, I guess, maybe Killebrew play there, and just because he's a veteran guy, although obviously free safety is not anything ideal for him.
Look, I like the long term. Maybe look at Trey Norwood. Based on the roster the way it sits right now, if we're not allowed to add anybody outside the organization, then he's going to be on my 53. But as we've said all along here, this team really could use a veteran free safety type that plays on special teams.
Mm-hmm. And they've been exploring that with Carl Joseph, with Malik Hooker, so I think that's certainly still on the table for this team right now.
Right. I could still see, I mean, look, here we are already in the second preseason game, but I true or false, there's somebody on another team's roster right now that'll be on the Steelers 53-man roster come week 1.
At any position?
Any position.
History says probably yes, so I'll say true.
Yeah, I'll say true as well, too. That's certainly, I think we've identified the two now, too, right? Center and safety as yes. the highest probability.
Sure, and obviously injuries can and will change things, but I would say center, guard, maybe even tackle and safety.
Okay. So a couple of changes there, but neither one of I'm not married to being. Having mine a little bit different from yours there. Specialists, I mean, we're chalk here now, right? Boswell, Harvin, and Cameron Canaday.
Yeah, obviously punter's the one to watch here. I still have Harvin over Barry coming off that game. That's not going to change.
All right, rattle off your practice squad, guys.
Yeah, and it's 16. They had a 16-man practice squad this year. The league has kept that expanded rule for at least this season, so that allowed me to kind of put everyone I wanted to on the practice squad. I went defense heavy here, but with the offense, I have Trey Edmunds, Anthony Johnson, Matthew Sexton, Zach Gentry, Avante Collins, John LeGlue. Defensively, I kept 3 defensive linemen with Bugs, Mondo, and Abdullah Anderson, keeping Jameer Jones, Quincy Roche, Calvin Bundage, Stephen Denmark, Mark Gilbert, Lamont Wade, and Donovan Steiner, and a partridge in a pear tree as your 16-man practice squad.
I like it. You keep LeGlue because of center capability?
Yeah, because he can play center, guard, and tackle, so I think it's just good to have that guy that can play all 3 spots in practice.
All right, Anthony Johnson, Matthew Sexton, that looks good. I might be inclined. I mean, I'd like to see somebody else. I understand Trey Edmunds because the more fullback / running back,
Tony Brooks-James is kind of interesting, but Edmunds again just wearing a lot of hats is why I put Edmunds on there because he can do a lot of things just from a practice availability standpoint.
All right, good exercise. I mean, I think we're pretty much in tune with minor changes.
The only changes really are what
Lane over Shakur Brown, and I'm not married to that.
Yeah.
What else was there? I think that's it, wasn't it?
Is that it? I think so. Yeah, because you're flipping Hossenauer and Finney like I am, so. Mm-hmm. I think it's about the same. Wow, we're usually not that close right off the bat.
No, usually not. And I might have a different practice squad guy or two. We'll see there. But I mean, let's see. I like the upside of Abdullah Anderson, or at least not upside. I like where he's at, and he seems to work very hard according to your training camp. He's a guy to circle, I think, to watch maybe in this game closer, right?
Yeah, had that sack force fumble at the end of the Cowboys game. I just put him on there because he is a hard worker, and if his name was ever called upon, I know he'd be ready from a preparedness standpoint. And so just to make sure everyone's working hard. But I am keeping now 9 defensive linemen total, 53 in practice squad, which is super heavy. But I couldn't resist keeping him off of it.
All right, no practice squad quarterback then, right?
I would love to get Dobbs there, but like I said the other day, does Dobbs want to be the practice squad quarterback? I don't think that's probably the best situation for him. So if he wants to accept it, I'm all for it. But I think he probably just said, you know what? I've got like 4 reps a day in practice. I'm going to go somewhere else.
All right. Good job, Alex.
Thank you. All right, let's talk about the Eagles game here tomorrow. Kind of highlighted earlier who's going to play, who's not going to play, and our expectations. What guy do you want to see more of that you watched in the first game that you want to see more of, good or bad, in game 2 against the Eagles, Dave?
Are rookies allowed?
Yeah, rookies. Anyone who played in the Cowboys game that you just want to see take a longer look at.
Jameer Jones, I really want to see more of him. I think I got a good idea who he and Roche are at this point. So maybe that's a little bit too easy. I want to see Carlos Davis stack another good game here. I want to see UG3 in his playing time put something better, a little bit better on tape there. Freiermuth, he didn't play in the first one. A lot of eyes going to be on Freiermuth on this one. If Dotson plays, I really would like to look at that tape in this one. Same with Chikwuemo Okorafor at left tackle now. Guys who did not play. Who else was held out that's going to play this time?
That's a good question. Not too many. Maybe a Trey Turner, a Melvin Ingram, but those guys probably won't play a lot if they play at all.
I want them to get a little fast Petey Guerrero in the game. Sexton, how about Sexton? I know he played in the first one there too. Getting the ball down the field, man. Stretch and here's the other thing that I want to see. I want to see them. And obviously defense dictates you just can't force the ball, blah, blah, blah. I want to see some shots down the field here.
Yeah, McCoy's been more of a vertical threat at practice the last couple of days. Let's see if they throw another one up to him against the Eagles. Yeah, UG3 is kind of the one guy that's really sticking out in my mind right now, just because I don't think he had a great performance against the Cowboys, but let's just see how he kind of bounces back. And then just those really competitive battles along the defensive line in the secondary, what guys are going to begin to stack good practices and good games and start to separate themselves from the pack, because they're still really, I think, kind of jumbled and bunched together along both those areas, D-line and the secondary, especially at corner and I guess corner and safety. So what guys are going to really continue to ascend and take another step forward to begin creating space for that spot on the 53, or maybe trying to lock in that practice squad spot.
Anthony Johnson and Cody White, I want to see. I got a bad taste in my mouth with Anthony Johnson putting that football on the ground last week there, so I want to get that bad taste out of my mouth. And they've kept Cody White around for a reason, right?
Yeah, he should play to some small extent, maybe 10 or so snaps. So just good to see him back out there, but he has missed, unfortunately, a lot of time.
All right. Anybody else we're missing here that could potentially be kind of that maybe star of the game, second or third teamer?
Yeah, this wouldn't qualify, but obviously see how Harvin looks in his second game and see how he carries those really strong performances. I imagine we'll see Berry punt some, maybe not. I guess you really don't need to see Jordan Berry punt. He's been punting for so long. You know who the guy is. Maybe just give Harvard the whole game again and just see how he, continues to perform and see if there's any inconsistency in his game or if he just keeps, booming the football.
You put Boswell out there for a kick or two?
No. Nope.
All right. Predict, not that it matters. The Steelers going to win this one?
Sure, why not? Hope springs eternal. I'll say they win, 20-14.
I'll go with a 23-20 score again. I think I went with that. With that last weekend. Look, the Steelers have already been in a stadium once. I think that's an advantage for them here. Here we are handicapping. Welcome to Degenerate Depot. They've already been in the stadium once. I think that counts for something. The Eagles are going. I've already looked at a long list of like 14 players. I think they're going to be holding out of this game. I just don't. Their quarterback situation. A lot of questions about that as well too. There. So yeah, give me the Steelers 23-20 in this one.
All right, good deal. All right, Dave, you want to get to some reader emails and close out today's show?
Oh man, I forgot all about that portion of the show here. Yeah, let's. Let me pull that.
And while Dave does that, just a reminder again: the game is on Thursday. Steelers' next training camp practice will be Saturday. Just 3 camp practices left. That is Saturday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They'll break camp after Wednesday. So just a little schedule preview of that.
All right, Doug Walter writes in on James Washington. First and foremost, shout out to Alex for the training camp coverage and recaps. Also, shout out to Xerxes for the Cower Rosary reference in their last email from Monday's podcast. He says, I see what you did there. I think that was obviously the thing with the what Bill Cower talking about the rosary and all, and that to tie in and all right there.
Yep.
Anyway, on to his question. Let the record show that I am not lobbying for a trade of James Washington. I think the Steelers are a much better team with Washington as the 4th receiver than they are with Ray as the 4th. He goes on to say, all that said, how would a trade of James Washington affect the depth chart practice squad? Would McCoy, being a poor man's James Washington, immediately become the favorite to make the 53, or would someone else like Bussey, Sexton, Johnson, or Simmons be a more likely candidate? Boy, the second part that's a great question. I think that's one thing that we're still trying to find out right now when it comes to that wide receiver depth chart. It just doesn't feel like anybody, that you would slam dunk. Not only put on your 53, but dress,
Right. Yeah, I think there's some really strong practice squad talent and versatility. Someone like Anthony Johnson really kind of feels like prime practice squad material. Honestly, if you did trade James Washington, I think I would, and you mentioned this, Dave, look outside the organization for a more veteran, proven guy to become maybe number 4, number 5, some guy who gets cut, something like that is what I would do.
Is Simmons maybe that special teams guy that, could be that guy that you address?
I wouldn't.
Yeah. Doug, man, that's a great question. We're still trying to figure that out here too with the bottom end. I don't think anybody would be in the driver's seat right now to be quite honest.
If I had to choose somebody, I would say Anthony Johnson, but I mean, that's a big step back from James Washington to Anthony Johnson.
All right. Charles Munger writes in, guys, I'm curious what Najee Harris's run success rate was in the Hall of Fame game. I believe you had a 50% target for him year to be considered successful. I'm interested to see if he hit those marks in the preseason. If he didn't, it was damn near close. I'm trying to pull up. Let's see if I can pull up our charting here from the other day. Shout out Tom Mead.
Should be about 50%. I mean, his first carry went for 6, had a 5-yarder in there. Probably 4 of 8, I'm guessing, is probably where his success rate came in at.
Let's see here. And if we're going to do runs, that means we throw out the catch there. Let's see. When was it? Down in distance. Let's see. First run was successful. Second run was successful. Third run was successful. They should have got him out of the game right there. Fourth run was 2nd and 4. 1 yard. That was unsuccessful. His next one was 6 yards. That was successful. And the next 2 were unsuccessful there. So 4 of 7, right?
7. Okay. Was it 8? He didn't have 8 carries?
He had 8 touches.
8 touches. Okay.
3,
4 of 7. So yeah, I think it was
6. So yeah, 4 of 7. Give me that every day of the week and on Sundays too. But I mean, it is preseason. We've seen preseason backs throughout the years have 70% success rates. But look, it's a good start. And Charles is right there, man. That's my target when it comes to Najee Harris in season there. Jalen Brown writes in 2 things. First, Dave, I don't know if you recall, but you sung Changes out of the blue during a podcast talking about the trading AB like 2 years ago, and I emailed you asking to do it again. You told me you would if he got officially traded. He says, I'm here to collect. Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow. That's 2 years later.
Did I sing David Bowie's Changes? Changes. That's all you get. I obviously have a lot of respect for David Bowie. The late David Bowie. Ground Control to Major Tom was probably one of my favorite songs of David Bowie's. Really, to be honest with you, there. But within all that, I think that's about all I know is just a hook of Changes. I don't remember that, but Jalen, you do, so there you go. Second, is there anything to read from Tomlin's presser where he said Kendrick Green and Turner have been working a lot together? Does it hit that the team may run to the right more times than not, or just probably a situation with a rookie leaning on a vet? Well, this, first and foremost, is going to be a right-handed team anyway, correct, Alex?
Yeah, most teams are right-handed teams.
Right. And also you have Dotson's a better puller than Trey Turner is, assuming Dotson gets the job. So there's going to be pulls right to left or left to right in that area there. I'm expecting, like Alex said, most teams are right-handed anyway there. And Trey Turner, if there's a strength to his game at his age right now, it's probably run blocking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're running left, you got to communicate with your backside guard as well. So it doesn't matter which way you're going. You got to communicate with your rules, who's getting the second level, what are cut-up blocks looking like, and things like that. So it doesn't really matter what direction you're going. You still have an assignment, still have a role, and everyone's got to be in sync. So I wouldn't treat that as any sort of commentary on the frequency of runs right to left.
Michael Galupo writes in, question from York, PA. He says, Dave, I feel dumb asking, but what is contusion of the birth certificate? LOL. I've never heard that phrase, and for my life of me, I can't figure it out. I think I hit on that earlier in this show because I peeked ahead at your email question when it came in the email box there. It's just something that Mike Tomlin jokes about when a guy is held out of practice or something, just kind of making fun of his age there. So I put that in. I think I put that in your injury rundown the other day, Alex, because Ben Roethlisberger didn't practice. I put contusion of birth certificate or birth certificate contusion. Just an old Tomlin throwback there. He says, and Alex, would you, for lack of a better word, who would be your camp body MVP so far? Obviously, we have a long way to go. So who would be your camp? Alex hates, and I guess that's why he said for lack of a better word there, because I think he knows how much Alex does not like the word camp body. Who would that be, Alex?
So I assume he's asking, like, who is the guy that was real back end of the roster that is playing well, kind of that camp darling, I guess is the nicer way to say that.
Sure.
Question.
Sure.
Yeah, I think a guy like Jameer Jones was someone that I just knew nothing about. I had not really paid any sort of attention to, but he's been running second team. Granted, T.J. Watt being out helped elevate him, but has shown power. I think looked good in the game. Had that pressure that you referenced earlier on the Donovan Steiner interception, and has just played really well overall. And so he's a guy that I just was an afterthought, and now is someone that I think is strong practice squad material.
He says, loving the off-season coverage and special camp episodes. Keep doing your thing, guys. Thank you for the shout-out, Michael, and we will keep doing our thing as long as we can here. Stylebender writes in, Tomlin says Dotson hasn't earned first-team reps and has done nothing. Were the reports about him out of shape true, or does he have an injury that's held him back? Either way, our starters need reps together. Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, I think to the latter point, I mean, it's the ankle injury that kept him out of the first week and a half of practice. I don't think that's really in dispute. If it was a weight issue, he wouldn't have gotten those injections. He would have been put on PUP for a conditioning type issue and those kind of things. In terms of the weight in the offseason, I mean, I can't say no because I don't have any sort of inside information. It still was all kind of a weird situation to me, and I think I think there's still some weirdness going on there. But the reason why he's missed the start of camp is not because of his weight, in my opinion. I think it's pretty clear it is because of that ankle injury.
So you don't think of his conditioning, you don't think of his weight. Let's just be clear on that, right?
Yeah. Now, what happened in the spring, I don't know. A lot of it didn't make sense, but I can't sit there and say 100% no. But in terms of what's happening the here and now, to me, it has nothing to do with his weight.
All right, got through the email machine there. Anything else you'd like to add as we ride on off on this Wednesday?
You mentioned some injury news. Ravens receiver Rashad Bateman's going to miss a couple of weeks, according to head coach John Harbaugh. Still hopeful for week 1 are the Ravens, but the injury is going to keep him out, it looks like, for probably the entire preseason.
Man, they just had the worst luck with wide receivers, drafting wide receivers, don't they?
They do. Yeah, Lamar Jackson's got to really be hurting figuratively, and the Colts had another foot injury today with their first-round pick.
Oh, Lord.
IA. So don't know how serious that is, but he went down today.
All right, everybody pray that this Steelers team stays safe and healthy more than anything. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest win that this team can get coming out of the game is 100% health right there. So pray for that. All right, Alex, good job today. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. And you can email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and you want to donate to the cause, go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button up right navigational bar. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, please go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button. And for $25 for 1 calendar year, you can have an ad-free version of the site. Also, pray that everybody grab your rosaries and pray for Game Pass to get right. All right. We lay your hands on your podcast machine right now. I beg you. I'm trying to get into some Jerry Falwell there. We need this Game Pass situation straightened out by week 1. The latest reports I've seen are kind of positive, but I'll believe it when I see it, especially when it comes to Game Pass. With that, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.